the last set of chapter we read, Despereaux saved Despereaux from being eaten by a cat from all the rats. And Despereaux told Despereaux about honor and the noble quest and how to be a brave knight. And so Despereaux believed everything that Despereaux was telling him and wanted to be a knight as well. So we're on chapter 23, Mig's Punishment. In P's chamber, 2 pudgy hands removed the princess's jeweled tiara from its place on the dressing table. The tiara's diamonds glittered as it was raised into the air and carried across the room. "Your crown, ma'am," said Margie Sow. "I don't want it today," said P. She sat by the window, staring out endlessly at her mother's grave. "But it's beautiful, ma'am," Mig said, stroking the diamonds. The jewels shone brilliantly, especially when held next to Mig's dreary uniform. "I know," said P, "but I don't want it." "You look so pretty in it, ma'am, like a princess." "I know," said P, casting Mig an exasperated look. "I am the princess." "Oh, I know, ma'am," said Mig, placing the tiara upon P's head. "But such a fine princess with the little pretty glittery—" "I don't want it, all right, Mig?" P snapped, backing away. Margie Sow's puffy cheeks reddened. "Very well, ma'am. Please take it away," P commanded. Mig turned and carried the tiara back to P's dressing table. "Huh," she grunted. "If she was the pretty princess, she would wear the little glittery tiara," Mig thought. "She would wear it every day, even to bed." Mig sat the tiara down, and then she did something sneaky. She slid open the dressing table drawer. Inside, P's jeweled comb sparkled with light. The comb was a shiny, pretty thing, and it was swiftly moved from the drawer of P's dressing table to the pocket of Mig's drab housecoat. As you might expect, the room of a servant girl is very different from the room of a princess. Mig's room was smaller than P's closet, and it didn't have a fancy bed. But sometimes one's imagination can do amazing things. The servant girl sat alone in front of a cracked mirror and combed her greasy hair. "Princess? Who's the princess?" "I'm the princess," said Mig, and then trying it another way. "I'm the princess." She set P's jeweled comb down upon her vanity, which was nothing more than an old box. But to Mig, it was the princess's dressing table. And every day it did begin to look more and more like it, adorned as it was with many items taken from the princess's chambers. My comb, my hat, my gloves, my shoes, my pretty powder on me pretty princess face. Mig looked up into the mirror again to suddenly see a pinched and sour face reflected next to her own. "And what do you think you're doing?" Louise said, scowling behind her. Mig spun around to face the head maid. "Where did you get all this?" Louise asked. "I just borrowed it, ma'am," said Mig. "Borrowed it?" "I was going to put 'em all back." "See that you do," said Louise, snatching P's tiara. "And you can spend the whole week taking Slop down into the dungeon for your little escapades." Louise turned on her heel and stormed out of the servant girl's room. Her last word echoed in the hallway, loud enough for even Mig to hear. "Princess," she scoffed. Chapter 24, The Rat's Quest. Margie Sow creaked upon the dungeon's floor. A horrendous stench greeted her, but Mig's sense of smell was as bad as her hearing, and after living with the pigs, she had developed a formidable tolerance for stink. Mig carefully carried a tray of food down the steep staircase. The stairwell was darker than dark, too dark to see as she was holding the tray upright, too dark to see anything. The tray, the steps, or even the pig nose in front of her face. "Gore," Mig said. "She's the princess, and now I have to carry the sloppy, gloppy, stinky stew down in the damp, dark, dingy—" She blinked in the dark. "A person could get lost forever down here." Mig stopped. She was lost. Gregory the jeweler sat in his small circle of light. He looked up at the tray of gruel as it headed toward him with Mig behind it. "Din, din," called Mig. Slop, Gregory corrected her. Margie stopped. No, don't stop, Gregory said. I said slop. He waved the girl over and she brought him his meal. How am I supposed to eat this swill? He demanded. He looked at the bowl in disgust and flung it away. Gore, stop that, Meg yelled. I don't have to be putting up with all this. I serve the princess. Ha, right, said Gregory. You serve the princess? That's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? I do, Meg insisted. I brings her tea and... Well, I don't want to hear it, Gregory said, cutting her off. Had me own little princess once, and now I don't. Gore, you had a princess? Yeah, said Gregory, answered wistfully. Every dad's got a princess, till he stops being a dad, of course. Gregory turned from her and looked onto the shadows. Oh, said Meg. Well, I got a real one, and she's got a tiara and fancy robes and shiny bits all over her frock in her closet, and I get to see her every single day. Now, at this point, Gregory was well past listening to Meg. He was lost in his own thoughts of regret and longing. But there was someone who was listening very closely. In the shadows, Roscuro listened to Meg's every word. When Roscuro returned to Despereaux in the hiding place, he was a different rat. He was a rat with a quest. What kind of quest? Despereaux asked him. To right a terrible wrong, said Roscuro. Standing in the shaft of light, the rat seemed taller and more powerful. But who did you wrong? Despereaux asked. Roscuro looked back at him, took a deep breath, and glanced up at the light. After a moment, he motioned the mouse over. Okay, Roscuro whispered. Do you know how they banish the rats? Sure, yes, said Despereaux. Well, it wasn't all the rats they were mad at. It was because of one rat in particular. Roscuro stared straight at Despereaux, but did not say a word. After a moment, Despereaux got it. You? He whispered. Mm-hmm, Roscuro said, nodding. If I could just tell her I'm sorry, that I'm really sorry, and that I didn't mean for any of this to happen. If she could just hear me say it, hear my voice, she would know how much I meant it. The mouse nodded and placed a small paw on his friend's shoulder. That is a very noble quest indeed, Despereaux said solemnly. So in the chink of a dungeon wall, under a precious light, a rat and a mouse planned a quest. It was fortunate for them that Marguerite Sow could still not see when she returned upon the dark staircase. It was good luck indeed that she could not see the steps or the pig nose in front of her face, or most especially the tray of slop, because on the tray, barely hidden under a napkin, a rat face peeked out of the shadows.